CBS Sports projecting contracts, logical landing spots for free agent wide receivers. Browns are listed as logical fits for two of them. And one of them is Chris Godwin. The average salary, $18.1 million. Another one that the Browns are listed as a logical landing spot is Allen Robinson. His salary, $16.3 million, is what they are projecting multiple years at that number figure. What do you think of again, that gives you an idea. Those are, two of the top 4 or 5 receivers on the market, and they're kind of in the same price range as Jarvis Landry. That gives you an idea of that contract relative to what going rate is for some of the top receivers. Having said that, Godwin, Robinson, are you intrigued? And I'm going to warn you, I'm going to have a cautionary tale after this. So are you intrigued by those guys?
I would take either one of them right now. If it's Godwin, I think I have found my big-time guy moving forward. If it's Robinson, I think I have found my clear-cut veteran complement to the wide receiver I draft 13th overall.
Okay.
How's that?
I agree with you. This is what concerns me when we found that. So you want a number 1 wide receiver. You aren't finding one in free agency. 32 wide receivers assigned as unrestricted free agents since 2018 for $8 million or more per year total contract value. Only 2 have reached 1,000 yards receiving. None of them have had more than 6 touchdowns. The average receiver for the high-end free agents, 41 receptions, 503 yards, 3 touchdowns. And there's a list of them, and you see the names, and you see the average contracts, and those are some of the big-name free agents that have been out there. You see the ages. It's not like they're aging. So, Jeff, the list goes on. So we're going back a couple of years, and you look at them, and there's some big names, but not a lot of production there. If you're Andrew Berry, if you're the Browns, are you concerned? Does that concern you? Because I was like, you got to go get a veteran, and I looked at that, and I'm like, well, maybe 13 is sounding like a good place to get your number 1 wide receiver.
I think you have to go get a veteran. But the only 2 guys who I think if you sign them, okay, you have found your number 1 wide receiver, are Devontae Adams, and that's not happening, or Chris Godwin. I think Godwin's really good, and he's coming off an injury, hurt himself, he's out for the season. I think he's really good, and I think he would be your number 1 wide receiver. And any other free agent, I think, is a guy that you could bring in, and especially the good ones, like Allen Robinson, a couple of the other guys, Juju Smith-Schuster, Christian Kirk. I think if you brought one of those guys in, he's clearly, and I won't even call him a number 2, but he is one of your 2 top wide receivers. So I would agree. If it's not Godwin or Devontae Adams, and I don't even consider him, I think that you have to go get your wide receiver in the draft and know that you just signed another veteran to go along with him to help that guy and to be a good pro. But I don't think anybody in free agency becomes like Jamar Chase. You're going to have to draft that guy. The only guy who could become your Jamar Chase is Chris Godwin, I think.